Dirty Truth Tellers.
So good evening, everyone. Welcome. We're Epstein and Hassan, the Dirty Truth Tellers. And how are you, Hassan?
I am great, and I am so excited about the show this evening.
Before you go, though, I got to tell you, you look really pretty tonight. Like,
thank you.
You know, I mean, after 35 years, you still get my dick hard. Like, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful.
And what else in life is there?
It's a beautiful thing. And we are very excited tonight because tonight we have two old friends of ours as our guests.
Yes.
And you could tell we're basically in the same generation because they had as much trouble with the Zoom thing as I do. I can't figure this Zoom crap out, but I'm very grateful that it exists because otherwise it would have been a very dull year and a half. So thank you.
Oh, you said it.
And, I did 8 productions totally on Zoom. I couldn't believe it. I had to learn it from scratch.
Let us introduce you. Let us introduce you.
So these are two theater people. That's how I would describe them.
You don't get a chance to meet many people like this.
Real theater
people, real artists, very New York.
And
listen, I'm so old. I remember when existentialism was the hip thing.
So here we go. Please welcome Richard West and Lissa Moira. Yeah. I was afraid of screwing up your last name, so I screwed up your first name. Lissa, am I pronouncing your last name correctly? Moira?
Yes, it is Moira. That's how.
Okay, so first we want to just give you a little information. I'm going to start out with Lissa Moira. She is a director. She is a writer. She's an actress. She's a visual artist. And she's a member of the Theater for the New City family. And she's one of the people that whenever I contact her, this woman has either written a play, she's directing a play, she's designing the flyers for the play. She is the quintessential artist.
Yes, she is.
Yes.
And she also is sort of like, I don't know if you call her like a co-producer of the Lower East Side Festival that comes out every year.
And she performs in it. And she helps.
I don't know your official title, but
don't let Crystal hear you say
that. That's why I was, I was a little nervous. Like I don't know, I don't know your official title.
Let's just say I'm
but let's just say she holds things together.
And she's also, she's. I believe, let me make sure I remember this. You're also a critic. You review plays.
I wrote for several different publications as a critic. I haven't done that in a couple of years, but I'd love to do it again if there's an opening anywhere.
And you also were involved with the New York Fringe. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes. Both as a judge and as a critic. And I directed, I had a piece that I wrote with Richard, and I directed several other pieces in Fringe, yes.
And you're sitting next to your
Mr.
partner,
Richard West.
Mr. Richard West, go ahead.
Who I found out studied at Columbia University.
Yes.
Poet.
Yes.
Musician.
I was an activist
Curator for the Theater for the New City poetry reading. When we ever have Theater for the New City, he puts all that whole thing together, which is like all day and part of the night.
Now you got him in trouble with Crystal too.
Yes. He's an activist. And he's an all-round spiritual traveler. He's either got a poem in his hand or his guitar in his hand. And please give a warm welcome to
Richard and Lissa.
Richard. Yes.
Now here's I'm going to start out because we call the show Couple to Couple because we want to have couples.
Yes.
And I've known you guys for many, many years. And I've known you've been a couple for many years, but I actually do not know if you're married or living in sin.
We don't either.
Well, we're not.
We're living in sin, I think.
No, yeah, we're for close to 30 years now. It'll be 30 years May 15th.
Wow. And 30 years, you never thought about getting married, or was that something you did think about and you decided not to?
Well, we thought about it, but the only reason we would do it is if it helped out financially. Otherwise, we didn't see any reason to do it.
Okay. And 30 years, do you live together or do you have your separate places?
We have a separate places.
That's the secret.
She's in Park Slope and I'm on.
He's in the West Village and I'm in Park Slope.
Yes.
Well, so one of our questions is answered already because
Yes.
we ask couples whether or not when they sleep together, do they sleep in the same bed? So
We
you
do
guys
when we
even
sleep
sleep, you don't
together.
even sleep in the same boroughs.
Yeah.
Right, but when we're
boroughs.
together, we definitely sleep in the same bed.
Okay, because you see, we don't.
No.
We're
no.
a married couple for 35
Ah.
years, and we live in a very tiny apartment.
Yes, and my thing is that going through menopause, right? I need air. I need a cold. I need a breeze, right?
Plus, going through aging as a man, I have to pee every 15 minutes. So when we sleep together in a bed,
It's a nightmare.
plus she falls asleep within a minute. You know, she's out, whether we did a show, no matter what. And I am very tossing and turning. I'm very neurotic. I have to get everything exactly right. I fart a lot. So what we've decided over the years is that we only get into bed together when we have sex. That's it.
And then it's a
And
done
that's
deal.
it. And now that we're old, just to remind ourselves that we're having sex, we actually put up a Post-it that says we are having sex. Because
Just to remind us.
I was going down on her, Lissa, and I fell asleep.
Oh,
And
no.
she woke up and she sees a white man down there, starts beating me in the head. She thinks that I'm attacking
Right,
her
yes,
because
yes.
we fell asleep during
Yeah,
sex. So
yes,
now we
yes.
have we post it, we're having sex just to remember at our age. We got to keep these things
We're the opposite.
Yes.
He falls asleep immediately, and he loves to fall asleep on me. So that's the best news there. But I'm awake, so I'm watching TV half the night, and he's out cold.
really.
And I love to. I toss and turn as well.
Well, I'm a morning person and she's a nighttime person.
Right.
I'm surprised you're a morning person though, Richard.
I used to be a nighttime person.
I
but
would've
when you
thought
get
that.
older, it's you want to seize the day from all the light.
Right, right.
You know, I'm living near the High Line, and I go up there sometimes early in the morning, and it inspires me to write and to think, and to do a little exercise. So just walking around up there, because I'm living on the West Side. I was born in the East Village, by the way, and I was born and bred there for 12 years during the old days. And I'm going. Cicero once said, "Life is a moderately good play, but with a bad third act." Well, I'm going on to my fourth act right now.
I'm going to write a good third act.
Well, it is true that as you get older, like we talk about this a lot. Nobody prepares you to get older, and things, physical things start happening.
Yep.
And psychological things start happening. Like, for example, I don't know, this is a good question to ask because I know Richard's a very spiritual guy.
Yeah.
And, as you get older, do you think about death more than you did, let's say, when you were in your 40s, for example?
Really, no. I take it as it comes. I've had lots of experience. I mean, I've been almost everywhere, from Alaska to Tahiti, from Brazil to Mali. I spent half my adult life on the road and doing things. So I feel satisfied with the life I've had so far. I also had a radio show on the West Coast. I worked at Pacifica Radio, and I introduced the Illuminati trilogy in 1975 with Robert Anton Wilson, which had a profound effect.
Oh.
And then I also had Fritjof Capra, the Tao of Physics, who first did his debut on my show, and also The Realms of the Human Unconscious with Stanislav Grof, with LSD research. And now I did hundreds of trips then, and I was mentored by both Timothy Leary and Ram Dass. And
Wow.
out in California, you can meet people so easily. And, it was really, and I had a yoga class going at the time.
Wow.
I had a big yoga class, and I had Jerry Rubin and Abby Hoffman, and I got Phil Oakes to stand on his head. And he admitted the world looked better that way.
Well, the one thing that I can say about death is I was once declared dead. So I have that up on him. I haven't worked with all these incredible gurus, but I've been there and actually declared dead. And, I saw the white light. I went through the tunnel. And when I got to the door, it was this magnificent door, and it looked as if it had been carved by Michelangelo. It was stunning. And then I heard the voices. I heard these glorious voices, and they were all calling to me, and seemed to be voices from my past and all of this. And I was reaching out to them, and then something went off in my head and said, "No, you still have things you have to do." And I turned around and I never opened the door, and I walked back and I woke up.
How did that change you as an artist, that experience?
Well, it changed me. I think it made me more persistent. It made me realize the stakes were higher, that I had to get it done. It was like there was a necessity that I never had before. Before that, when I was in a commune out in California, an artist commune, it was fun, and it's still fun. I'm not going to say it's not fun, or we wouldn't do it, but it didn't have that. Ooh, I've got to do this, and I've got to do it now, and it's important, and I have to make some kind of mark, not so much for celebrity, but to say something, to leave something. And you know, since we're not having kids either, it's sort of, I call my plays, or and our plays especially, are our children, and they have something to say in the world. So that lit a spark in me that was different before that happened. It's true.
Yeah, Lissa ran away when she was 15 years old to the West Coast, and she found this autistic commune to live in, and she would come back every now and then for like Sweet 16 party. And then at the same time, she was at her father knew Yasker, the guy of the Woodstock Film Festival in 1960. So she saw the whole Woodstock thing from his farm.
Right. Well,
So she was a perennial hippie, you know, and so was I. I was that beard and long hair.
I thumbed my way across the country at 14 and a half.
But we never met each other out on the West Coast. You know, we met each other at La Mama in New York at a party at La Mama that we went to. And I also written plays then. Before I met Lissa, I wrote Warhol in Hell. And though I wrote that, I might have saved Warhol's life one time when he was crossing the street after he was announced as a political whore by The Voice, and he was on drugs or something. I caught him on 57th Street in the rain. I grabbed him by the arm and I pulled him out of onrushing traffic. And I might have saved his life, because who knows, the sun was going down, the cars were coming in fast.
I was poor.
And he was so, but then I took the opportunity later on to write a whole play against him.
Well, not exactly.
So it's not against him, but it was a satire. And I also wrote The Bohemia on Ride, WRY, which was a satire of On the Road and Jack Kerouac. And I worked with Allen Ginsberg in politics. I did a meditation coalition at the UN in '78. It was supposed to go to the Villager, and then Lincoln Anderson got fired, and they didn't want to hear about these stories anymore. But
so what inspires you now, Richard?
Well, that's the thing, you know, I was always doing a multitude of things. And sometimes you know, when I play music, it's different than when you write. I like writing. Actually, I'm probably a better writer than anything else. But I've been saving it for like various things. Like I've been publishing a few books, both my humor and my poems. I've written one novel, which is unpublished, but I think it's more important to write. But you know, I put on shows. I had a show called The Blue Monkey in the 80s. It was a variety show on Bond Street, and we used to have all kinds of people came through that, and all crazy people. And I had a cable TV show in New York called That's More Like It.
I pushed him into the theater.
I was in theater already, but she knew the theater, and I was just winging it.
Yeah.
But Richard, I don't know if you remember, we did a gig. And it was like, you had asked Epstein and I to do this gig. I think it was Hamburger Harry's, was it? It was like a really...
Oh, no.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know that. It was up in the 40s, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right. That
Richard,
I mean, we played in a lot of dives, but that was
social Siberia.
Yeah.
Oh man, that place was just.
You know, the only a few people showed up, but what's her name? This woman Leslie Levinson. She used to be a performance artist. She made a tape of us all.
Really?
It was really. I mean,
yeah. So
I love playing. I love playing in those kind of venues, but even for me, that one was like, whoa, this is really.
It was really hard not to be depressed. You know, it was really hard.
We closed CBGB's as for spoken word. We did that upstairs at CBGB's, and so if you want a divey dive, come on. You know,
I never knew they had that there.
Let me tell you.
We did a whole spoken word, a wonderful evening. Yeah, that was the last one they had.
CB's had an alternative space right next door to the dive bar and all that, and it was much nicer. It was downstairs from the dive bar, and it was a nice cabaret. It was an old-fashioned, and I did the Grand Theft inaugural ball when Bush beat Gore.
We did that together, that one.
And about 100 people showed up. Got into New York Magazine, by the way, and we got a lot of.
Well, that night I auctioned off the Bill of Rights, amendment by amendment.
We were selling the American.
So let me ask you two something. When you're creating work together, right? How do you, since you both, how do you deal with competitiveness.
We fight a lot.
So you do fight a
Fight
lot.
for our vision.
That's good because
Yeah.
But we do push each other. I mean,
Good.
I remember one time when we were writing Best Sex of the 20th Century sale, which went all over the city.
I remember
We wrote it
that.
18
Yes.
months.
yes.
Yeah.
And now we couldn't even do this little part of the show because Diana was, for what happened to Princess Di. But we were writing a piece on her because it was part of the Best Sex of the 20th Century sales. She certainly fit in there. And we kept doing it and and everything I'd come up with, he'd go, no, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. And he'd push me. And then I came up with this thing. You remember what it was? It was Lady Di had to be a virgin catch. So royal doctors examined her snatch. Then Prince Charles made her life complete. Now she's fucking the whole damn fleet. that one, and that one got in, but then we had to cut it because, oh my God, she got killed. So, but it used to get roaring laughter, and then sadly we had to take it out.
So we
Fight, so let me ask you a couple questions. So when you're arguing, do you hold a grudge? Are you the kind of fight? So you argue and then you let it go right away?
Let it go. Let that shit go.
It's gone. It's gone. We a lot of times the people look at us as the Bickersons. We go at each other. It's never about anything important.
Yeah, but
and if it's about art, we let it go. We decide what works.
We usually come up with the third one, and then we a little of each, and we find something better than we both originally intended.
Right.
That's
So
sort of what we
get
do.
some good work.
Yeah.
But I hold a grudge. Like I'll hold a grudge. If we have a fight,
he is a glue stick.
I hold on to it.
Dear.
And I also never forget. Like I'll bring back a sentence that she said 24 years ago. I have a memory, like even after all the weed.
I'm like that.
I never forget.
All writers, they have to be like that. I remember
I am not like that.
I remember every joke. Like I'll remember if a joke works. Like if it works, if we get laughs, I'll never forget it, and I'll find ways to get it back in. But she's like she'll fight with me, and then 2 seconds later it's out of her mind. And I can hold for, and this is with all the meditation I do too. Like I'm a meditator, and I still have, when I get mad, I get tied up in I have to keep expressing, rambling.
Yeah. There's one thing about Richard that I'm always getting on with him about. He will fight, and sometimes he'll win the argument, and after he wins the argument, he's still fighting. And I go, you won! Stop!
Over here. Over here.
I'm
not have to explain it.
Are you Jewish?
Richard? What?
Are you Jewish?
Not
We're Jewish.
We're both Jewish.
Okay,
Culturally, we're Jews. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean that's.
I asked me that a few days ago. I said not anymore.
My full name is Lissa Moira Cohen. So I shortened it to Lissa Moira.
Because I always try to explain to her that for Jews, our fighting and boxing is arguing and talking. Like that's how we fight. Like you have to be funny.
My thing is, I express the point. It's over and done. No, he's got to go back to it. And
I like to put all that on the stage, and I hate fighting in person, but conflict on the stage, great.
Now, when we will often, we've had fights before we go on to perform, and it's very interesting because it proved a lot of things to me, because it just shows that if I really want to let it go, I do. Because like if we're arguing and then we go on stage, I immediately fall in love with her, or at least I make believe that I'm in love with her. But I don't carry it on to the stage because you can't. But that proves that you can drop it if I wanted to, I could. It's just that I have this need to hold on to everything, and
you're a glue stick. But I noticed. I noticed, Lissa.
Whatever don't be a schmo.
when you were referring to a line from the piece you did, you sang it. So when you're creating, do you both? Because you've written a lot of musicals, do you hear things lyrically? How do you like? If you were going to
very often, he's the composer, so most of the time. So very often I will write lyrics, and sometimes I will even be singing the song. And so then basically I give it to him, and then he totally modifies it. And other times it's just a poem, and he literally writes the music for it. But the words usually originate with me, as far as the song is concerned.
Not all the time.
No, not, I said usually, not all the
But
time.
she's a fabulous lyricist. I'm pretty good myself, but she's much better than me because she thinks of these hooks and all that these absurdities. So do I. I mean, I came up with Who Murdered Love, which we're doing now, and then she took it to another level. I thought of the whole concept of Sam Surreal and working a Dada noir.
No, the noir was my contribution. You wanted to do the Dadaist surrealist thing.
Yeah.
And I said, well, but we have to have some kind of frame.
Sure.
And then I made it into a noir mystery that ends up being solved amongst the poets and the writers and the artists of 1924 Paris. And we get there through an absinthe dream. So it's very hallucinogenic.
There was a big schism between Dada and surrealism. Right now, they have a great
that goes to what I was going to ask you. You do a lot of period pieces. How do you see your work now with what's happening politically? How is that affecting your work?
Well, it all depends on whether I'm writing a rant or he's writing a political number and then I contribute to it, but he's got the idea, or, but the play that we've got going up, which we revisited and it's evolving and changed.
Who Murdered Love.
Called Who Murdered Love, opening February 3rd at Theater for the New City. That I wouldn't call it escapist because there's a lot of politics in it, but it's got to do with
artistic jealousies
and
artistic totalitarianism
and all the social concepts and artists who are backbiting and being horrible to one another instead of nurturing one another, which drives us crazy off the scene.
Yes.
I'm sure you have dealt with all of that. And I love to nurture fellow artists. It's something that, it's close to my heart, but I've encountered just the opposite too many times, and it's awful when it happens. And that's another thing I let go. Something really grievous has to happen for me to hold it, So
20 years ago, I wrote the song called The Dislocated Hipster Blues.
So how does this affect us politically? We were trying to figure that out.
And I went full circle with that. It comes back after 20 years ago, and it talks about hypocritical hipsterism. Because what the hipsters are actually trying to do is bring the brotherhood and sisterhood of humanity together, besides the letter of the law. But most of the poets just got the letter of the law, but they have all these little mafias and things like that. So I wrote a whole big poem about this, and I got blacklisted in a lot of bohemian circles for writing this.
Yeah. Well,
and I recently came full circle on this.
Well, it touched a lot of nerves, let's put it that way. I recently did it at an evening. Richard was unable to be there, so I read it for him. People went wild for it, and they recognized it. They're still all, because it was an artist, it was an audience of all artists, and they recognized everything he was talking about. So this particular play is not, in a way, you could call it escapism, but it really isn't, because it has a lot to say. And Dadaism, of course, was created out of World War I and the horrors of that. And our detective, Sleepy Sam Speed, was a lieutenant in World War I, and it turned into drink and all kinds of things. So there's a lot of different things that'll, ring true, but are not dead on the money, like when we write our anti-Trump songs and things like that, or he writes an anthem, or we combine on them.
We do social and political satire as both. But what Lissa's talking about is about the aspects of well, by the way, there's a great surrealistic show right now. It's a must-see show at the Met, and all these women who were surrealists that they didn't get, like Lenore Carrington and of course Frida Kahlo and people like that. They're all at the Met. You got to see this show, and you see the difference between Dada and the next movement of surrealism. Dada was very satirical, making fun of everything. Of course, we think of the Mona Lisa, and the mustache and the fur-lined teacup and all. They made fun. It turned everything, because the World War I was so upsetting. It was the monstrosity of that war, probably the worst war in history, with poison gas and the trenches and all. Then a more serious thing with trying to make the unconscious conscious with surrealism. With this guy, Andrew Baton, who became the Pope of surrealism. And this meeting has been upgraded by the host and now includes unlimited minutes.
We are unlimited. Wow.
Yeah. So
we always feel unlimited.
So he's like is excommunicating all the original Dadaists for his vision. And it's really all about egos and things too.
And so the play called Who Murdered Love, it has to do with a character named Dada Love who's missing, but of course it also has to do with who is murdering love.
Yes. And,
That's a very heavy title. That's a heavy title.
So different ways of looking at it. And certainly a lot of people are candidates for that right now.
Yes.
Well, we all murder love to some degree.
Well, that's what, we've talked about that a lot. We've all been conditioned in our culture to be super competitive and not cooperative. And art is about cooperation. One of the reasons I worked for many years in jazz clubs, and I got to really appreciate jazz musicians, very different than theater people or comedians for sure, because if you're an older drummer, all the younger drummers look at you like you're a mentor, you're part of a lineage, a tradition, and they sit there and they're glued to watching you, and they really do have support. And of course, there's always people that have big egos, but in general, they were very different. Comedians sit and judge and hate each other. It's the most like
they won't even be in the room when you're performing.
They can't. It's painful to them. If you're getting laughs, it's like their body starts.
I know.
You know the old story about Al Jolson. He would literally stay in his dressing room and he'd run the water. So he by no means could he hear anybody else's performance. He couldn't stand, and he was a superstar of his day, but he couldn't stand to hear anybody else's
that competitive thing. Right. I really believe that's, this country, the United States, it's such a mythical country. And I know Richard knows a lot about history and stuff. I was listening to this guy last night. Even the one war, which we kind of feel like it was a justifiable war, World War II, even that we've been totally lied about. The United States didn't win that war. Russia won that war. Russia lost 30 million people. We lost 600,000. We've actually lost more people to COVID than were killed in World War II. 4,000 Americans died in D-Day. The Russians were losing like thousands and millions.
They lost 20 million when Hitler, 7th Panzer invaded. And the same thing, Napoleon made the same mistake. And before him, Charles V from Sweden, he made the same mistake. The Russian winter is what did them in.
And the United States is making the same mistake of every empire, because we are.
Yes, of course.
We are crushing. We are to feed the empire. You starve the nation, to quote Michael Parenti, who I'm sure Richard knows. Michael Parenti. Do you know Michael Parenti?
I don't. I'm
no,
sure
I remember that name from somewhere, but I don't know.
The leftist writer. He's but his thing is he wrote about who killed Julius Caesar. He talks about how empire always gets destroyed because they take, in order to keep the empire rolling, you have to starve the people in your own country. And that's what's happened in the United States. We operate 800 military bases around the world. We are the biggest polluters. The American military is the major polluters in the world. But that's not even discussed at the so-called climate function kind of
climate change is the biggest threat in the world today.
Even absolutely.
We might lose our democracy, but at least we'll still be alive.
But the earth is
right now we're going to lose.
We lost our democracy. The democracy is gone. It's gone. The democracy is gone.
No, I mean, we don't have, there's a difference between, choice, you have a certain amount of choice, free choice and stuff like that.
What inspires you to? I mean, we're talking about the conditions of things now. What keeps you both going day in, day out?
Speed. These two have been on
speed
since 1964. And
well, let's face it, we deeply, deeply, deeply love each other. And that helps a lot, as you both know.
That's a beautiful thing, though. I mean, that is really beautiful. You guys do love each other. You hang in there.
John Lennon said, "Love is all you need."
Well, you need.
You see what they did to him.
But we need money also.
but Richard recently, I won't divulge too much. He had some health issues, and I was there every minute because I had to be, and I'd never consider not being there every minute. And I know if the situation.
Yeah, I have to have some reconstructive surgery. You see, these days you can get a new spine by Calvin Klein. You can get a new ass by Bill Blass. And you get a new pecker by Black and Decker.
Yeah, you gotta present that. I love what you just said.
Truthfully, don't get a new ass in the Dominican Republic because they stick concrete in there. Have you heard this? When women go down,
and Dr. Stein.
But he had, in this case, one of the hippest men in America had to have a hip replacement.
Because that's what, because I wrote the Dislocated Hipster Blues 20 years ago, and it came full circle.
This was his fate.
That's what I was trying to tell you before and yeah.
We want to ask you some silly questions.
Silly.
Sure,
We're in the go ahead.
Who farted first when you met each other?
I think I won that one. He didn't appreciate it at all.
Do you
I have to admit, it was I.
Do you
know
like
what Jonathan Swift said about that?
Do you like the same movies, music, books?
Yes, pretty much the same.
95% of the time.
But
yes.
she likes more mysteries than I. She sees every single goddamn mystery on TV.
I was raised on Agatha Christie.
But she knows her movies so better than she introduced me to. Now I can't do without turning to classics and all the decades of great movie art.
Yeah,
that's our literature.
I pushed him into that stuff.
Very much so.
Who, if you were to have an animal, what would you want, a dog or a cat?
Oh gosh, because I love them both so much.
Well,
believe it or not, I raised a duck as a pet, but I
had both cats.
You would.
I've had cats, and I absolutely, because in the city, in an apartment, you just can't do that to a dog.
No, you can't do that.
The kitties love it. They don't.
When I lived in California, I had a dog for a while, and we'd go up the road to the redwood forest, and we'd sleep under the trees where it doesn't rain during the summertime, and the dog keeps unwanted animals away from you.
Yeah, in the commune we always had dogs. It's funny, and it was like the Gory Mansion. This place was huge. It was near Berkeley, and it was. I mean, the places, and then there was plenty of places surrounding it that we could go, and so. But cats like to cuddle. They like to curl up, and they don't mind it in a smaller place. So I'd have to say, in the city, cats; in the country, dogs.
Okay. The Munsters or the Addams Family?
Oh, Addams Family. But I like Fred Gwynn, so I enjoyed Herman too. But Gory. I was just mentioning Gory. Yeah. Addams Family. For me, I don't know. I don't know that you never saw either.
I didn't really watch too much of it, but I had what's his name, the guy who played Grandpa.
Al Lewis. He was around
and
the East Village.
When I was doing my street show every year, he would come and be in the audience.
He was quite a character.
Yeah, I used to remember him at Theater for the New
He had
City.
Grandpa's restaurant right around the corner from where we live. There's on Bleecker Street. He had that place called Grandpa's, and he'd stand out front and talk crap to people. Yeah. Greenwich Village has changed, as you know, it's changed tremendously. And
I know. I was around the Beatnik era when I was in high school. And I used to go to the Village, and I would see all these people, Allen Ginsberg and Wavy Gravy, who was called Hugh Romney then, and they would have the old bitter end. Before it was the bitter end, it was the Cock and Bull, it was called. And there was the Fat Black Pussycat, the original one. That was a speakeasy, kind of like you would come there, people would smoke grass and do things like that, and be unconventional looking. And
well, when I was out in California, I actually danced at a place called the Pinko Pussycat. So we covered the Pussycat.
Got the Pussycat down.
Yeah, we both lived in Berkeley in the 70s.
We never met them.
We never.
Well, there's a great photo of both of you. Lissa, you've got on like a bathing suit top. And like I think it's leopard print.
Yeah. I just put that out on Facebook from when we first met.
Great photo.
When we first got together on Mott Street. Yeah.
So let me ask you a current events question. I don't know if you guys heard about this last week. Down in Florida at a heavy metal concert, a female rock star brought a guy up from the audience and peed on his face. And the amazing thing was, of course, now with social media, her shit exploded. She got so much attention, and then she apologized for doing it. So my question for both of you is, if you pee on someone's face during a show,
should you apologize?
I think if I had the audacity to pee on someone's face, I wouldn't be in the frame of mind to apologize.
That's what we were thinking. It's like, if you're going to pee on someone's face, because I was thinking, you know what? Because she got tons of attention, like on the internet, it went a while.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, like, you know what? Maybe Naima should pee on my face, and we'll finally get some publicity. you know, but she says
Well,
no, she won't
But you
do
know
it.
what? It's like what Joni Mitchell said about, he says, in the old days, rock and roll is I want to fuck you. Now it's just fuck you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, the thing is, she did this act and then she couldn't hold. She was a what do you call a poser? She couldn't hold it. You don't if you're really radical, you don't apologize. You deal with the consequences of the act. That's not something you're on stage and you go, oh damn, I'm gonna pee on somebody. I mean, you saw she went and drank the
She
water.
saved it up.
Yeah, she's drinking the water, saying she's gonna do this, right? So I'm like, oh, with the way social media is today, you really thought you weren't gonna get anything? Get out of here.
I have to free associate because you said Joni Mitchell's name. And so I'm going to free associate something. I heard her say something that struck me as being brilliant because she said that people want new partners and want to date new people because they want to tell their best stories again. It's not really about being interested in the other person. Like she's heard every single one of my stories.
Everyone.
You know, we even let each other know now if you know, I've heard that one 3 or more times. I'm not listening.
Yeah,
you know,
we
I've
go
heard that
like
one.
this. Three. We've heard it.
I've heard about you, Worcester, 3 times. That's enough. I'm really thinking that's very deep thought that Joni Mitchell had.
I often think about that all you're seeking is a new audience, especially.
Yeah,
Right, exactly,
yes,
exactly.
yes,
You want
yes.
somebody, you know, and
Yes.
you know,
Now that's a new play. I need a new audience.
I need a new audience when I'm going down on you. I want to
need
be
it.
able to say
Yeah.
something new.
Yeah,
You've already heard all my dark hole lines
yes,
and all my,
Well,
so
literally speaking, maybe you've heard it all.
yes. So, are you potato chips or pretzels?
I'm a pretzel gal.
all right.
Oh no!
The Jews love pretzels. I love
Well,
pretzels.
I find
love
potato
pretzels.
chips too greasy. I don't like them. But the other kind, there are lots of kind of chips. Now that they're baked, I kind of like them. But I didn't like them when they were really
I don't understand pretzels. I don't.
No? Can't
No.
relate to pretzels, huh?
Oh no.
I don't care if they're pretzel shaped or the rods or whatever they are. I love pretzels.
So here's the final thing we're going to ask you. First of all,
Sure.
you're great guests, and it's really wonderful to
I
see
want to
you.
know about all those books behind you. I mean, that I
Also,
love.
Richard's,
books.
we're at Richard's place right
Oh,
now.
this is a little library over here.
I love it. I love it, Richard. I love books. I love books.
So you said you have
Books are eating my apartment. Forget it.
your play is
yet
coming up in
I keep
February.
buying, I keep finding that people in Park Slope put them out constantly. So I'm always picking up and I put mine out, they put theirs, and it's like back and forth.
Yeah. What are you asking?
Your show is coming in February, a Theater for the New
February
City.
February 3rd.
Now, how are things going? Are people returning to see shows? Are they going? They are going.
Yes, they're getting really great audiences at all I know about is Theater for the New City.
And people wear
We
masks?
were there the other night, and they're requesting you wear masks in the audience, but they're not distancing, and you have to be vaxxed to get in the theater.
Okay. No, because we've been thinking about going back to
that
performing.
seems hard for comedy, though, because you want to see people's
people's
laugh.
faces, you know, with the mask.
Comedy is needed so much now.
Yeah.
Well,
People need comedy more than anything else right now.
I know, Richard, but it's kind of like, I think from the side that you're saying it in, it's more about offering something. I'm looking at it from my side, just I can't see your face, so I don't
Right, because
know.
you don't deal with a fourth wall.
Right.
You know, when we were doing an interactive show, I kind of totally agree with you. But obviously, with like a show like Who Murdered Love, it's not about that. So it would be dark in the audience anyway. So we may pretend to be looking out at one person, and everybody thinks you're just speaking to them, but it's a different contained thing.
Are you in the play, Lissa?
No, not this time. No, I originated one of the roles way back when it wasn't a musical, when it was a straight play. Gail Friday, the detective's right-hand woman. But no, I'm a little long in the tooth to play it now. But but the response has been unbelievable when I put an ad in Backstage, because I have 3 of my theater family in it who are going to anchor the thing, who I've worked with many times, but we're going for new blood. So 6 of the people are going to be brand new. And I put an ad before the thing hit it was like they started coming in. I just described the characters, and everybody wants to be in the show.
Artists want to work, Lissa. Artists want to work. We need it. We need it.
Yeah, and they responded to the description of the show and the characters, and everybody wants to be in it. So that's very exciting to me too.
Well, this was fantastic. We always
Wow.
leave people with this
Yes.
because we are a couple, you're a couple, and because of, not only social distancing, but diseases and all kinds of things, people really can't do group sex anymore.
Not anymore.
So what we do is we fuck our guests in our minds, late, maybe not tonight because it's Monday. We don't fuck on Monday,
Yeah,
but because we always do it on Saturday now because there's
Never on a Monday.
never on a Monday, very rarely on a Monday.
No.
So we will have you two in our minds on Saturday
In
night,
our hearts.
in our hearts and our minds. But you could do the same for us.
Yeah.
Rich is he may not right now. He may be what's the word?
Incapacitated.
Incapacitated. As this
I'm just worried about a computer virus. That's all.
the great Richard West.
Yes, thank you, Richard. Lissa Moira.
Lissa Moira. Thank you guys. We love you. I hope,
Guys.
hopefully we'll
It's
see
been
you
so long. We've
soon.
known you for so long. It's wonderful to do this and to get together like
You
this.
guys,
Thank you
you
so
guys are a
much.
lot of
We're
fun.
each a couple, but a couple of what is what we're trying
I
to
was
figure
thinking
out.
of that.
A couple of very, very brave, loving human beings who we're fortunate.
I'll,
to know.
I'll buy that.
Thank you
That's
very
your
much.
story, and you're sticking to it.
And the show will go up in a week. So we'll
Lovely.
let you know. And thanks again. Thanks again.
Thank you,
you.
darlings. Mwah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.